Alright guys, if you are online, do well to signify so we can start right away. In the course of this class lesson, I'll be teaching on the subject biology. So if you're online, do well to signify so we can start now. Alright? In the course of this live class lesson, I'll be teaching on a very vital aspect in the subject biology, and what we are going to treat in the course of this live class lesson is, pay attention, all right, is this area in biology is very essential. We call them plant tissues. Are you there? You know the plants you see around you, they are made up of tissues. So this is what we are going to treat in the course of this class lesson. So if you are online now, do it to signify so we can start. If you are online now, do it to signify so we can start right away. So if you can hear me clearly, also signify that. Now, remember, let us start this way. Let me write it so it will be straight. It's not straight. All right? Remember, first, before we relate it to plants, we have to ask ourselves what a tissue is. Alright? Before we relate this class lesson to plants, we have to ask ourselves what a tissue is. Alright guys, hope you can hear me well. Hope you can hear me clearly. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me. So, remember, in basic biology, tissues are simply made up of various cells. Now, listen and listen well. You know, when it comes to the level of organization of life, it's cell that starts first. Are you aware? And when cells comes together, group of cells, we then form what? Tissues. Are you following me? So, in the course of this class lesson, we're going to talk about these tissues that are found in plants and not animal, plants in the course of this class lesson. Remember, I believe you know what tissues basically form, alright? Tissue will then form what? Organ, and then organ will then form the system, and system will now form the organism. But because of this class lesson, we're going to stress on plant tissues in general. So if you guys are hearing me clearly, please let me know, alright? So I don't want any problem with network, alright? So we already said that tissues basically are a group of cells, alright? Now let us define what plant tissues are. Plant tissues, by definition, simple definition, because our sole aim here is to be able to use the knowledge I'll be giving to us in the course of this class lesson to answer questions that have been asked so far in this area in biology. What we call plant tissues. Plant tissues are groups of cells because it is cells that form tissues. So plant tissues are a group of cells that performs same functions. Alright, when we have specific types of cells coming together, they form tissues, and that group of cells that form tissues will perform a function in that plant. I believe you guys are following me. Alright, so plant tissues are a group of cells that perform, certain functions in a plant. Alright, they are what? Group of cells. They are group of what? Cells that basically perform what? Functions in a plant. Alright, in what? Functions in what? Plant, because we are relating it to what? Plants in general. Are you guys following me? So that is for that. You know, in plant basically perform different functions. You know, like there are different types of cells. Listen, you know, plants have different kind of cells. All right. Some of these cells in plants that comes together, they perform various functions. Some of these cells in these plants, please listen, some of these cells in plant, their function is to maybe carry water, supply water to basically, you know, other parts of the plant, maybe supply water from the soil through the roots. All right, just pay attention. I'm being generalistic here. So in general, these cells we are talking about, some of their function is to basically supply water to that plant, others to basically store food for that plant, others to give that plant strength. Do you understand? So, but as we go on in this class lesson, I'm going to specify these guys and tell you the specific plant tissues that performs these functions. All right, so that is for that, everybody. So moving further, pay attention. What are these plant tissues? Everybody, this is where it gets interesting. What are these plant tissues? So we simply talk about the types of plant. These things we've been talking about. What are the types of plant tissues? Number one, they call them meristematic tissues. Pay attention, all these are vital for your exam. Meristematic tissues. And the next set of plant tissues, we call them permanent tissues. Pay attention. Remember, for you to be a tissue, you'll be made up of cells. So it is different kind of cell that forms this tissue. It is also different kind of cell that forms the permanent tissues. All right. So that is for that. So the question we ask ourselves: what is a meristematic tissue? Let me just explain very easily, because questions on this area comes out in the JAMB exam and other biology related exams. So pay attention. A meristematic tissue is a tissue that is made up of young growing cells. I repeat, everybody pay attention. A meristematic tissue is a tissue that is made up of young growing cells. I repeat what I just said. So in summary here, remember we've established the fact that for you to be a tissue, you will be made up of cells. So what kind of cells are now found in meristematic tissues, everybody? These cells, they are young. They are also, you know, when you are young, you are still growing. Do you understand? So in summary, meristematic tissues are made up of young growing cells. All right, that is for that. I hope you guys are following me. All right, I hope you all are following me. Let me know in the comment section so we can move further. All right, so that is for that. Now, the question you asked me, what are the functions of these cells in this plant? Because these two guys are found in plants in general. And I told us that in meristematic tissues, there are young growing cells that are found there. Are you listening? So in summary, everybody, what are the functions of these young growing cells? That is the question you ask yourself. The function of this young growing cell is that these cells are responsible for growth in plants. I repeat, these cells are responsible for growth in plants. So these are the cells that helps plants to grow. Do you understand? The young growing what cells? Guys, if you are following me, let me know in the comment section. All right, so that is for that. So from this information I just mentioned, listen, when a plant grows in size, when a plant increases in length, which plant tissue is involved? Is it meristematic or permanent? It is meristematic. That is what I just said. It is responsible for growth. So whenever a plant increases in length or size, what plant tissue is involved? These things are vital. They ask a lot in the JAMB exam, and we'll be tackling questions on all of these areas. Just pay attention, all right? Take note, in a meristematic tissue, they are basically involved in what are the increase in size, in growth, in length of what plant. When a plant increases in size, the tissue that is involved is called the meristematic tissue. All right? So that is for that. That is for that. The question we ask ourselves, where are these tissue found in a plant? This is very vital. Where are these tissues found in a plant? These are where they are found. Tip of the roots and also tip of the stem. I repeat, these tissues are found in the tip of the root of a plant or the tip of the stem of a plant. All right? So take note of what I just said. Take note of what I just said. Take note of what I just said. Is very, very important, guys. So if you guys are following me, let me know in the comment section. All right? Let me know in the comment section. So we can move further, everybody. If you are following me, let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section, everybody. All right, good one. So let's just quickly draw a plant. I want you guys to see something. I want you guys to see something right now. So you'll be able to tell which is roots and which is stem, because the person might not even know where the root of the plant and also a stem of a plant. So let's just draw a plant. Let's say this is a plant, and from this layer is what? The soil. So at some point we have the leaves. Are you following me? So that is for that. All right. All right. Same applies here. So everybody, this label here is the root of a plant, whereby this is what? The stem of a plant. So what did I just say? The meristematic tissue, they are found in the tip of the root of a plant or the stem of what? A plant. Are you guys following me? Let me know in the comment section. If you guys got what I just said, let me know in the comment section. All right? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section. If you have one, good one, guys, so we can move further. So we can move further. I'm coming. Coming, guys. All right, so that is for that. So let us move further. Let us what? Move further. We've been able to understand all of these, the location of these meristematic tissues in a plant. You can see now that you can see the root. The root are those ones that are below the soil, while the stem is those that shoot you are seeing going up. You understand? So that is for that. That is for that. That is for that. Now let me say something. You have to listen, everybody. Listen and listen well. So let's draw this. Now, everybody listen. This meristematic tissue, we can simply just call them meristem. Everybody, what did I just say? These meristematic tissues can simply just be called meristem. If you see the last word that ends in, is it not stem? So definitely it should be found in stems. So there are 3 locations whereby this meristematic tissue is seen in a stem. And I'm talking about stem now. Listen. These meristematic tissues, they are found in the apex part of a stem. This apex, the tallest part. These also meristematic tissues we're talking about, they are found in the body of this stem. Also, this meristematic tissue is also found at the base of a leaf. This is the base of a leaf. Now, let's say this is the base of a leaf. Under this leaf, alright, these meristematic tissues are also found here. Now, what are these meristematic tissues called? Everybody listen. The meristematic tissue that is found at the apex of a stem, this is the stem. They call those one apical meristem. I repeat, apical what? Meristem. Are you following me? Apical meristem, whereby those meristematic tissues that are found in the side of a stem, we call them, this is the side of a stem, we call them lateral meristem. Alright, lateral meristem. While those that are found at the base of the leaf, while those, class, hope the network is going well, while those that are found at the base of the leaf, alright, we call them intercalary meristem. Those that are found at the base of the leaf, we call them intercalary meristem. Are you following me? Pay attention. Oh. You can see, remember, for you to be a meristem, you will be young growing cell, and your function is growth. So that is why this implant, the stem now, always grows. This is the apical part. It always grows taller. Even the side, even the body of the stem always grows thicker. All these are as a result of what now? The meristematic tissues that is found in them. Alright? All these are as a result of the meristematic tissues that are found in these plants. Alright? So that is for that. That is for that. Guys, note all these are very, very essential. Note all these, they are very, very essential. Very, very important. Alright? Very, very important, guys. So that is for that. That is for that. Alright. Let us move further. Let us move further. Let us move further, guys. All right, we are good. We are good to go. Let us proceed. All right, let us proceed. Hope you are aware that this root also contains meristems, also contains young growing cells. The roots, all right, of a plant also contains what? Young growing cells. As we go on in the class lesson, we're going to see practice questions that are involved in all what I'm saying. What Jam have asked, that is what we are focusing on. Do you understand? So you can be able to see things that you see questions that these things are not really hard. People, because maybe you don't understand it, doesn't mean that it's hard. It's very cheap. Now, question one. Question one, everybody, based on what I've said so far. This is a Jam question. Jam asked this question. All right. So let us answer it together. All right. Let us answer it together. It says, the region of cell division in a root is called, let me write the question. So question based on what I've said, it said the region of cell division in a root is called, just pay attention, it's a very cheap one. Let me write the option Jam gave. I want to write the options Jan gave. Option A, they said root cap, just relax. Option B, they said endodermis. Option C, they said xylem. And option D, they said meristem. Everybody, what do you think will be the answer to this cheap question on the board? Remember, I told us that both the root of a plant and also the stem of a plant, they contain meristem. The roots, now this root, this end part of this root, they call them root cap. Are you not seeing it? The last part of the root, or the root cap, is what covers the roots, alright? Or the apex of the root, but that is not our concern right now. The key term here is the region of cell division. Remember, for you to grow, you must divide. Yes, now, for you to be able to grow, division must take place. That is what they are talking about. So the region of cell division in a root is called, where does this cell division occurs? Where does this growth occurs? That's what they want us to learn. Everybody, what is the answer to this simple question? What is the answer to this simple? Good. I'm proud of you guys. You guys are doing so well. The answer is called meristem. It cannot be root cap. Root cap definitely is part of the roots. Do you understand? But where does it occur is the meristem. Why? The meristem contains young growing cells that are responsible for growth in plant. And for growth in plant to occur, what will definitely happen? Cell division will definitely occur. You can see how cheap this question is. I believe it's making sense to you guys. Meanwhile, do it like the video. Don't just watch without liking. Alright? Like the live lesson so we can move further. Alright? So more other explanation pertaining to this topic and answer question. This is a jump question. I brought it from a jump pad. Alright? So let us move further, everybody. Let us move further. Let us move further. Now, do you know why the answer is meristem? Because the answer is meristem because it is in the meristem that contains young cells, and these cells are always growing. Alright? Now let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Listen. There is another special type of meristem. This meristem you are looking at, there is a very, very special type of meristem. Is a meristem or a meristem. You know, meristem are meristematic tissues. This one they call them cambium. A very special meristem. We call them cambium. So the question, cambium is also a meristematic tissue. Is a special one. I will tell us what cambium is about. So pay attention. The cambium, where is it found? That's the question we ask ourselves. The cambium is found in stem. Everybody, the cambium is found in what? Stem. I repeat. This thing we are seeing is found in stem. Remember, a stem has three major meristematic tissues. We have some of them that is found in the apex, called the apical meristem, or the apical meristematic tissues. Some of them are found in the side, the body of the stem. They call those ones lateral meristematic tissue. And also some of them are found at the base of a leaf, intercalary meristem. Alright? So this cambium is also found is a meristem in the stem in general. And I will tell you the function of this cambium that is a meristem that is found in a stem. I'll tell you its function. Alright? Now, remember, for you to be a meristem or a meristematic tissue, your function is to grow. Either you increase in size or increase in length or increase in... The point is there is growth when meristem is available. Do you understand? But let me just tell you something. This meristem, which is called cambium, it helps the plant to become thicker. Not just longer, but rather thicker. That what makes that your stem in all of those trees that you see very, very thick is because of this meristem called cambium. Are you listening? Now the function of this guy that you should take note of, it helps in the formation of these plant tissues. Remember, I classified plant tissues generally into meristematic and permanent. But let me just tell you, we'll get to this area. Cambium basically helps in the production of these two plant tissues. Relax, and we call the xylem, which are called the xylem tissue, and as well as the phloem tissue. All right, the xylem tissue, and as well as the phloem what tissue. So these are the tissues that this cambium produces. All right, the xylem and the phloem what tissue. Class, hope there is no network problem. Is there network problem? Let me know. All right, I'm not watching the class with my other phone now. All right, so that is for that. Now, without wasting time, let us answer another jump question that that is concerned with what we are explaining right now. And the question says, what is the function of cambium? All right, is the jump question. All right, it says, what is the function? Good. All right, what is the function of this cambium we have talked about? All right, what is the function of the cambium? All right, option A says storage. Option B says production of xylem and phloem tissue. Also, other option says as absorption. Other options say photosynthesis. Class, what's the function of the cambium being a meristem? What is the function? It helps in production of xylem and phloem tissue. As we go on in this class lesson, we get to know what this guy does in the plant in general. Are you guys there? So that is for that. All right, that is for that. So you guys are doing well. Let us move forward. So without wasting time, let us get into the next type of tissues we have talked about, called permanent tissues. All right, as we go on, we get to answer questions. All right, questions relating to what we need to learn. So everybody, without wasting time, pay attention. Let's talk about permanent tissues. Remember, we said that meristematic tissues, they have young growing cells. But permanent tissues in plants, they have matured cells. So when a cell is already matured, what does that tell us? When you are matured, when you got into menopause, for instance, you are like, in general, when you are matured, you no longer reproduce. You no longer be able to do this you used to do before. Do you understand? So these permanent tissues that are found in a plant, their function is not for growth in plants. Their function is not for growth in plants. So the question you ask me, what is their function? All right, they perform specific functions. I'm going to talk about them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Permanent tissues, they always not growth, but they have some specific functions that they undergo. All right, so without wasting time, let us stress on this. These permanent tissues you are looking at right now, they are of two types. All right, we have what we call the simple tissues. All right, the simple tissues, and as well as the complex tissues. Permanent tissues, they are of two types. We have the simple tissues, everybody listen, and the complex tissues. The simple tissue in a plant and a complex tissue. Hope you guys are following me. All right, so that is for that. Simple tissue and also complex tissues. So the question you asked me, what are the simple tissues? Remember, simple and complex they are permanent tissues, all right? Simple tissue and complex tissue, they are what? Permanent tissues. So let us move further. So I'll be wiping the board now so we can go into all these areas, all right? So that is for that. I want to wipe the board so I can have space to talk about simple and complex plant tissues, which are permanent what? Tissues, all right, which are permanent tissues. So let's do that now. Let us do that right away, all right? Let us do that right away, guys, without wasting time. Let us do that right away. All right, so that is for that. So the question you asked me, what are these simple tissues in a plant? Remember, simple tissues and complex tissue, they came from permanent tissues in plants. Alright? So what are these simple permanent tissues? Because they are permanent tissues, what are they? So this simple, for you to be simple, meaning that you are not complex, right? Simple tissues, these are plant tissues that are made up of one cell. I beg you, note what I just said. Simple tissues, they are plant tissues that are made up of how many cells? One cell. Are you listening? So the question you asked me, what are these simple tissues? All right. What are these simple tissues? Let us talk about them right away. All right. Let us talk about them right away so we can, answer questions pertaining to all these. All right. So let us move further, everybody. All right. Let us move further. I'm coming. All right. Let's talk about the first simple tissue in a plant cell. All right, the first simple tissue I'm going to talk about in a plant cell. Okay, I'm coming. All right. So let us talk about this tissue in a plant cell called, the first one, they call it the Parenchyma tissue. All right. So the first simple tissue I want to talk about is called the Parenchyma tissue. So as a student, you should be able to understand what this tissue does in a plant cell. All right? What this tissue does in a plant cell. That's what I want to talk about right now. That's what I want to talk about right now, about the parenchyma tissue. All right. Okay, guys. So one of the function of the parenchyma tissue. Now let me just tell you, for your exam sake, this tissue you're looking at is one of the most common and the most important tissue in a plant. All right. This tissue you are looking at is one of the most common and the most important tissue in a plant. So it is the commonest. All right. It's one of the most common and important tissue in a plant. One of its functions is that it helps in photosynthesis. All right, this tissue you are looking at, it helps in is very essential. All right, it helps in photosynthesis, and I believe you know what that does. All right, it's help in photosynthesis. All right, now let me just tell you something. We have some special, remember, for you to be a tissue, you'll be made up of cells, right? So there are some special parenchyma tissues that helps in photosynthesis that we are talking about. All right? Listen and listen well. All right? Just pay attention. Remember, photosynthesis is one of the process whereby plants are able to produce their own food with the help of sunlight. Do you understand? And for you to be able to produce your own food, you will basically be able to attract sunlight now. All right, that chlorophyll. Because photosynthesis has to do with chlorophyll, right? Now, let me just tell you, there are specific kind of cells that forms tissues that are that are parenchyma tissues that helps in photosynthesis. We call them Sclerenchyma. Alright, Collenchyma. Remember, is this not chlorophyll? Is this not the spelling of chlorophyll? So these tissues basically will contain the chlorophyll pigments. Are you listening? So the Collenchyma tissue is now a special parenchyma tissue that helps in what? Photosynthesis. Alright? So that is for that, everybody. That is for that. I believe you are following. So Collenchyma tissue now, that the guys specifically on the parenchyma tissues that help in what now? Photosynthesis. Coming? Hope you guys are following me. Alright, good one. So in summary, for these parenchyma tissues, the special type of them is called Collenchymal tissues. These ones, they are made up of what now? A chlorophyll. They contain chloroplast that contains that chlorophyll, which we talked about in nutrition. I taught you guys nutrition. Alright? So that is for that. So let us move into other functions and the main functions of these parenchyma tissues. Now, one of the functions is storage of food and water. They help in the storage of food and water. The food includes starch, sugar, oil, and even water. Alright? And this is common in roots and stems of a plant. Alright? They also help in the storage of food and water. Alright? They help in the storage of food and water, everybody. They help in the storage of food and water, the parenchyma tissues. They help in the storage of food and water. Alright? They also help in support. They help to support the plant. Alright? No, it's a type. It's a special type. Collenchyma tissue is a special type of parenchyma tissue. Alright? So literally they are same, but just the special type of them. So now they also help in support. Alright? They support plants, these parenchyma tissues. Alright? Because they have a thin cell wall. I will draw the structure very soon that support plants. Alright? When they are filled with water. Alright? They make the plant to be firm. Alright? When plants, for instance, are filled with water, these tissues support them, make them to be very firm. Alright? These tissues are also seen, they also help in transport of substances. Alright? They also help in transport of substances like water and food within the plant. Alright? So just listen. If I draw a plant, these tissues help in the transport of food and water from the roots. Alright? You know, everything, nutrient comes from the roots, right? Of the soil. They transport substances to the other part of the plant. Alright? These tissues are very essential in that. Alright? These tissues also are very essential in healing and repair. Alright? They are also very essential in healing and repair of damaged parts in plants. Alright? They are also essential in healing and repair. And lastly, they are essential in excretion. Alright? In plant. Alright? Excretion and also secretion in plant. Alright? Note what I just said is very, very important. Note what I just said is very, very important. So let us move further. Let us move further. Let us move further, guys. So that is for that. So the question you asked me, where are these tissues? Where are these tissues called Collenchyma tissues found? Remember when we talked about the meristematic tissues, I told you the location. I said they are found in root stems. Same applies. Parenchyma, which is a simple tissue, they are made up of just one type of cell. They are also found in roots of a plant. They are also found in the stem of a plant. Are you there? They are also found, in the leaf of a plant. Those ones that are found in the leaf of a plant, they are those guys that contains that contains the Collenchyma, because leaf contains the chlorophyll. Do you understand what I'm saying? That helps in photosynthesis. So in summary, they are also found in stems. They are also found in roots of a plant. Are you there? And also leaf of a plant, guys. They are also found what? In the leaf of a plant. Very essential. Very, very essential. So we can move further. All these things are very, very essential so that we can move further. Okay. So let us proceed. Let us proceed. So without wasting time, let us quickly draw the diagram of what? A parenchyma tissue. Alright, let's just quickly draw a well-detailed diagram of this parenchyma tissue so you get to see how it works. Alright, so you get to see how it works. I'm coming so we can quickly do that. Alright. You know, they are made up of just one kind of cells. Alright, they are made up of just one kind of cells. So let's just draw them, one kind of cells. Remember, for you to be a cell, what will you be made up of? You know now, basic biology have taught us. For you to be a cell, you have what now? You have what? You know, this is plant cell. What does plant cell have that helps them to be firm, rigid? Cell wall. Alright? So I'm going to create another layer for the cell wall. Alright? All these other one that's outside is the cell wall layer of the cell. They are all one kind of cells. Alright? And this is a parenchyma tissue. Alright? One kind of cell. Remember, for you to be a cell, you will have a nucleus, right? So let's say this is the nucleus. This is the nucleus. Same applies. So that is the point, everybody. That's the key point we're trying to make right now. Alright? All these are one kind of cells. Alright? Similar kind of what cells. So that is for that. So I can literally call this what a parenchyma. I'm not done labeling. So first thing first, this is the cell wall. Alright? And I told us that normally you are aware that cell wall helps this plant to basically be rigid. Alright? So this is the parenchyma tissue. And also you are aware that this one, all these small things inside there are the nucleus, right? So this is the nucleus of the cell. Hope you know now. All cells should have what now? If you are a cell, specifically eukaryotic cell, because plants are eukaryotic, you have what now? Your cell wall. Also the cell, you know we have cell membrane as well. But we are talking about plant, though plant has cell membrane. Alright, but the key point now is the cell wall I want to talk about. Cell wall, nucleus, and also a cytoplasm, which is this place that where the reaction occurs. All these places that are jelly-like, hope you know what I'm talking about. That where the organelle stays in the cell. We've done cell structures and functions. So in summary, so this empty space now that where the reaction occurs in this parenchyma tissue is called what? The cytoplasm. Alright? Now if you observe, there are spaces between each of the cells that are identical. These spaces in a parenchyma tissue, they call them intercellular space. What does that mean? Is a space between the cells. Alright, intercellular what space? Hope you guys are following me. Intercellular what space? That's the intercellular space. Pay attention, very, very important. Alright, intercellular what space? So that is for that. That is for that. Alright. So just note the way I drew the diagram of a parenchyma, it is like this. Alright. So that is for that. You know, each of those guys are the cell. Each of those guys are the cells. Alright. Each of these guys are the cells. They are the cells that comes together. Do you understand my point? They are all the cells. Do you get what I'm saying? So that is for that. That is for that. So we've talked about that. The function of the parenchyma, one of them is storage of food and water, very essential, please. Alright, and the food it stores is starch and other kind of food as well, oil and the rest. But it also stores what are parenchyma tissue. Alright, parenchyma tissue. Alright. So that is for that. That is for that. So I think we are good on the parenchyma tissue. We are good. So we'll go into another tissue. So we're going into another tissue. Okay, let me just say something. Now, please note all these. For the parenchyma tissues, they are made up of living cells with thin cell walls. Guys, note this. All these cells, they are living. All these cells, you know, all these stuffs, they are living. So parenchyma tissues, they are made up of living cells. And these cells have thin cell wall. Are you not seeing all the cell walls? Alright, you can see thin cell wall. They are made up of living cells, alright, with thin cell walls. Alright. And they also have a very large valcule, alright, to store water and food and other substances. So even inside this structure, inside this cell, there's also another structure like a valcule inside. You know, when I taught us that, this one is the valcule, alright, the valcule. The valcule is to store all of this food. Where is this food stored specifically? In the valcule. I taught us cell structures and functions, alright. So you know, plant cells plant cells basically have large valcule, very large, alright. So that is for that. Also, we have seen that they help in now let me just tell us something about parenchyma tissues as well. Remember we said they have thin cell wall. That is why they are sometimes, let me just tell you, the reason why plants are flexible, why plants can bend without breaking easily, all right. The reason, listen and listen well, all right, listen and listen well. The reason why plants can bend without breaking easily is because of that thin cell wall, all right, that thin cell wall in them. So, and you can see it in the parenchyma, the thin cell wall in them. That is why you can bend it. That is very difficult for that plant to break, unless maybe you want to cut it, apply more pressure and force. You understand what I'm saying? All right. So that is for that. Now let me just tell us something. You remember we've talked about just one type of the parenchyma, or one special type of parenchyma called the Sclerenchyma, right? There are other special types of parenchyma tissues. There's one they call this one Parenchyma. Parenchyma. This one is a parenchyma tissues that is found in between those spaces. All right, they help in gaseous exchange. All right, and it's seen most in aquatic plants. Parenchyma. These ones are found in those leaves. All right, close to the leaves. Where there are all those plant tissues all over the plant, both in the stems, both in the roots, both in the leaves. Right. These ones are found in the leaves. We call them Collenchyma. The one that are found in the air spaces. All right, these air spaces or the cellular spaces, we call them the Parenchyma tissues, which they are all parenchyma tissues. And yeah, that's for that. But just know that Parenchyma is seen mostly in those aquatic plants. We have some plants that are aquatic in nature. All right, we have some plants that are aquatic in nature. So that is for that. Remember, I said that parenchyma tissues are made up of what now? Living cells. I did not tell you that they are made up of dead cells. So don't get me wrong. They are made up of what now? Living cells. So let us move further. So the next plant tissue I want to talk about is called the Collenchyma tissues. All right, the Collenchyma tissues. All right. All right, all these are all simple tissues in a plant. All right, all these are all simple tissues in what a plant. So just note what we want to talk about them. So I can wipe the board right now on this parenchyma word tissue. I believe I can wipe the board. Remember, we're going to start solving questions soon on all of these, so get ready. All right. So that is for that. Can I go over to the Collenchyma? Yes, I can move further to that now. Alright, so let us start with the second simple tissue called the Collenchyma tissue. Collenchyma tissues. Now also note these tissues are made up of living cells. The cells here are living, please note it. Alright, these tissues are made up of what? Living cells. Alright. Alright, note it. Very essential. The way the parenchyma have living cells, they also have what now? Living cells. Alright? So that is for that. Now, let me tell you, the cells of the collenchyma tissues have uneven thickened cell wall. Alright? Just note what I just said. Just note what I just said now. Alright? The cells in a collenchyma tissues, they have unevenly thickened cell wall. I will show us in the diagram so you see what I'm talking about. Alright, I'll show us in the diagram so you can see what we are talking about. So you can see what I'm talking about. All right. Okay, now that is for that. We said that they are made up of what are unevenly thickened cell wall. One of the functions of the collenchyma tissue is to provide support to the growing parts of the plant. Please note it. One of the major functions is to provide support. All right. Also, it helps in flexibility. All right. Also, it helps in photosynthesis, but it is rare. Remember, I said it helps in flexibility, support, and photosynthesis, but rare. Do you understand? And also it helps in growth. All right, it helps in what? Growth. It helps in what? Growth. Very essential. It helps in what? Growth. So that is for that. That is for that. I repeat what I just said. One of the functions is support. It supports the young part of a plant, especially those parts that are growing. We see more of collenchyma tissues there. It's also helping flexibility. It helps plant to bend easily. It's also helping photosynthesis, but rare. It's also helping growth. But photosynthesis could also occur. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is for that. That is for that. That is for that. Now let me show you let me just show you something that is essential right now. Everybody pay attention about this collenchyma tissues. Let me show you something that is essential that we have to take note on the diagram to differentiate this guy from a parenchyma tissue. Alright, to differentiate this guy from a parenchyma tissue. So just note what I'm about saying right now. So look at how, you remember I said they are made up of one cells that I like saying. So let us simply do something. So you know what how a cell looks like now. You know how a cell looks like, right? You know how a cell looks like. A cell basically has a nucleus. Also, it has what? Now, just let me show you something. Let me show you something. All right. All right. Now let me draw another. You can see the shape because we have different types of collenchyma tissues. You can see the shape of this one. All right, it is not as the shape of the what do you call it now? The shape of the parenchyma. All right, you can see how the shape looks like. You can see how the shape of this guy looks like. All right, let us take it this way. All right, so literally like that. So in summary, you know we have a nucleus, and this is a plant tissue. It should be made up of what do you call it now? It should be made up of cell wall, and also it should have what? A vacuole for the storage we talked about. All right. So if you observe what I said that one of the features of collenchyma is that they have unevenly thickened I repeat, they have unevenly, what do you call it now? They have what? Unevenly thickened cell wall. Yeah, they have unevenly what now? Thickened cell wall at the corners, especially when they want to unevenly mean that the parts, you know, all these things are cells, right? They are cells. They are all what? Cells. So the whether unevenly cell wall simply means that the part that connects, the part of it that connects with another cell is thicker than the part that does not connect with another cell. I don't know if you observe what I did. If you see the diagram, this two-bed diagram, the one that connects with this one is thicker than the part that it is not connected to another cell. You know, this one is thinner. So that is the picture about all these. They have unevenly thickened what? Cell wall. Alright, they have unevenly what? Thickened cell wall. Alright, so that is for that. Now, where are these tissues found? We said it already. They are found in stems, they are found in leaves, and also they are found in what now? They are also found in, you know, yes, they are found in stems, they are found in leaves. So that is for that. Alright, so in summary, guys, let me tell you guys something. These Collenchyma tissues that we are looking at right now, they are found in stems, they are found in leaves, but they are not necessarily found in roots. You guys told us that this guy, his function is to support those growing plants. The plant has already grown out from the what? Soil. Root is under soil now. So their own function is to support those growing plants. You understand? That's their function. So literally, they don't have business with the roots of what now a plant. They are not found there. Alright? All these are examples of what now? Simple tissues. They are examples of what? Simple tissues. So let's talk about the next one now. Let us talk about another simple tissue, which is a permanent what? Tissue. And this one, we call them the Sclerenchyma. Alright, the Sclerenchyma. The Sclerenchyma tissues. Alright, the Sclerenchyma plant tissues. Note this, please note this. Alright, let's talk about the Sclerenchyma right away. Right? Let's talk about the Sclerenchyma tissues. Now, these Sclerenchyma tissues, and they are plant tissues, but they are made up of dead cells. Please note it. If you observe, I told us that Parenchyma and Collenchyma, they have living cells. And who now has dead cells? This guy called Sclerenchyma. Alright, called what? This Scleren what? Chyma what? Tissues. They are made up of what? Dead cells. Alright, they have dead cells and not what? Living cells. They are made up of dead cells and not what? Living cells. Alright? These cells, they have very thick and hard cell wall containing what we call lignin. Alright? This Sclerenchyma we are talking about right now, they have, you know, they have thickened, very thick cell wall. Alright, they have very thick cell wall as compared to, you know, the others. Their cell wall is very thick. Alright, they have a very thickened cell wall. They have a very thickened cell wall. Note that for the Sclerenchyma tissues, they have what? Very thickened cell wall, which basically contain lignin. And their function is to provide, you know, what do you call it now? Support. Rigid support to plant. All right. Their own major function is just to support that plant. All right, to strengthen mature stems and roots and leaves so that the plant can stand upright. They're already dead. All right. So they're only just to support that plant in general. And if I'm to draw the structure, you see that the cell wall that connects all of those guys, all of the cells together, is very thick. They have the thickest cell wall compared to the other guys. All right, so that is for that, guys. If you are following me, let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section if you are following what I'm saying right now. So also they help in protection. All right, they help in what? Protection. Now let me tell us something. Where are these guys found? Let me tell you. They are found in leaves. They are found in stems. Also they are found in roots. Collenchyma is not found in roots. All right. They are found in what now? This Sclerenchyma is not found in root, stems, and what now? Leaves. All right. Root, stems, and what? Leaves. Take note, and take note, take note, take note. Take notes. So let us move further on this Sclerenchyma tissues. Let us move further on. There are other things to just maybe talk about. These Sclerenchyma tissues can be in what do you call it now? Two forms. We have some Sclerenchyma tissues that are in the form of fiber, and also we have some of them that are in form of scleroid. All right, scleroid. Just pay attention. Just pay attention to what I'm about saying. All right. We have some of them in form of fibers and also in form of what now? This scleroid. Is it? So it can be in two forms, fiber and also the scleroid. Do you understand? So that is for that. So like the two types of these tissues. Now for the guys that are fiber, for the Sclerenchyma tissue that are the fiber, the way they are long, they are slender. Please note it. They are long, they are slender. And when something is long and slender, it means like it's like a thread. And they are long, slender, and they have thread-like cells. All right. They are long, slender with thread-like what? Cells. All right, long, slender with thread-like what? Cells. So that is for that. Okay. All right, we are good. They are long, slender with what? Thread-like cells. Sorry. Okay, that's it. Now for the scleria, the other, they are short and they are irregular with thick word cells. They are short, irregular with thick word cells. They are short, irregular with thick word cells. All right? They are short, irregular with thick word cells. So that is for that. Moving further, their function. For the first one, fibers, their own is to provide strength for that plant. Just strength most times. Strength. While for the other scleroid, they are basically they help in what? Protection and hardness of a plant. All right, protection and hardness of what? A plant. Protection and hardness of what? A plant. Protection and hardness of what? A plant, guys. All right, so that is for that. That is for that. I have seen a question based on what we have said so far. Let me read it out. All right. It says, which tissue, all right, meaning we are talking about plant tissue, so it's going to be which plant tissue gives strong support to plants. You have to be very smart. A, is it Parenchyma? Look at the keyword strong, like the strongest support. Is it Collenchyma? Is it Sclerenchyma? Or is it Xylem? What is the answer, everybody? The answer is what? Xylem. Sorry, Sclerenchyma. Alright, the answer is what? Sclerenchyma. I believe you guys are following me, right? I believe you guys are following me. All these things are easy. They are not hard at all. Right? They are not hard at all. Alright? Good, everybody. They are not hard at all. All right, let's move further. Good. um, I'm coming. So there are other things we have to talk about based on what we have. We've talked about this already. Let us move further to talk about something essential that we need to understand to be able to answer questions on it. Right? So relax. So we'll talk about that right now. Very essential in plant tissues. Very essential. So what will happen right now? I'm coming. Just give me a few minutes. I'm coming back so we can proceed. Right, on the next thing we have talked about the simple tissues, which include what now, the parenchyma, collenchyma, and what, and sclerenchyma. Which one has dead cells? The sclerenchyma, and their own is they help in strong support toward plants. Also these guys support, but they are the strongest. I'm coming, guys. All right, let us move further. Let us move further. Um, all right. So I'm wiping the board so we can talk about roots of a plant. Everybody pay attention. The root, though we have complex tissues to talk about. But before talking about complex, I want to talk about roots of a plant in general. How does the roots of a plant looks like? How does, it's not just you seeing that, okay, the root of a plant has so, you know how it works, right? If I'm to draw a diagram now, let me just draw it here. This is the soil, right? And this is a plant, right? You already know that, okay, these are the roots, right? This is the root of a plant. So, how does it look like? Let's zoom into this. Are you not seeing it? Let us zoom into the root. So I'm going to pick this guy, just one part. Let us zoom into the root of a plant. So you see everything that is found in this root of what a plant, everybody. All right? Let me explain. Just pay attention. Just pay attention. Oh, very, very important. Very, very important. I'm coming. Come on, guys. Okay, I'm coming. All right. Let us start something right now. So think of this root as like a straw. Everybody listen to what I've just said. Think of these roots now like a straw that is, pushing through the soil. So this one now, let me pick it. So just pay attention. Everyone listen and listen well. Alright, think of this root like a straw pushing down. The key term here is to understand the layers of these roots. So like this is a root that just picked only one. Alright, so let's think of it like, root that they always dig down into the soil. So think of it like a straw moving down in the what soil. That's how you should think of this root, so that you'll be able to relate better. Alright, whereby now let me just show you something. The tip of the root, listen. Alright, this tip area, they call it the root cap, which we saw in the question. This tip area is called the root what? Cap. Are you listening? It's like the helmet of the root. It's like the cap of the root, and the root going down. It's trying to find, what do you call it now? It's trying to find way to push down through more into the soil. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So that is for that. And as they do this, the root cap, they secrete slimy substance to make moving easier. Are you there? To make what? Moving easier. So that is for that. That's what it secretes. Slimy substance to make what? Moving what? Easier. Moving further, the next now is basic, and also the root cap protect the root. All right, protect the tip of the root, because if the tip of the root is destroyed, for instance, there will be a problem with the growth of the plant, because it's the root that supplies the nutrient first and supplies it to other plant tissues. You get what I'm talking about? So that is for that. Whereby the next layer of this root is the cell division layer, the cell division zone, and it is just behind the root cap. All right, it is just behind the root cap. So after this area now, this area will have like this, the cell division area or zone. Do you understand? The cell division zone just after the what now? The what do you call it now? How am I gonna say it now? It's just after the cell. Now, that cell division area. I hope you know the kind of tissues that will be found there, right? It's simple. We have established that any part of a root or stem that divides, it will contain meristematic tissues. Are you there? Meristematic tissues. You can see how easy it is. You can see after the root cap, the next is the cell division zone, which will contain meristematic tissues. Are you listening? So after that, we now have the next called the region of elongation. All right, the next region is the region of elongation. All right, this part basically is where the cells lengthens. All right, after the division, now the elongation zone. All right, the elongation zone. All right, that's the elongation zone. It's just found after behind the cell division zone. After that, we have the region of maturation, where those root hair appears and the tissues differentiate. All right, that one they call it maturation zone, where those root hair, the maturation zone, where those root hair will now appear. Those root hair, root hair now will now appear in the root. All right, will now appear in the root. This is where the root hair will now appear in the root. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is where the maturation start happening. This is where the roots start getting very matured. Do you get what I'm saying? So that is for that. That is for that. Everybody, very, very important. All right, very, very important. All right, let me just say something. I'm coming, just hold on. Just hold on. So we can talk about other parts of this root here. This root. Now, there's something I want to basically talk about. Now, this root is like this. It's connected to this root. Everybody listen. This root you are seeing now is connected to the stem. Do you understand? So, let us look at this root now. Let's assume we cut this root like this. Listen, everybody. Let us say, okay, we now cut the root. The root is going down, right? We now just cut the roots. The way I just cut the root. Let us see the layers of this root. It is essential for your exam, all right? It is very, very essential for your exam. You got to understand the layers of this root because questions on this comes out a lot, all right? Questions on this comes out a lot. Questions on this. So after I cut this root like this, I can now basically show it in a circular form. Are you listening? I cannot show it what in a circular form. I cut the top, so I can show you what now the circular form. You see how it works. They call it concentric what now ring. All right, concentric layers of the root. All right, because it's like a ring. All right, I cut at the top. You get what I'm saying? So we can see everything that are inside. So we can see everything that is inside. So after that, we now go to what do you call it now? Practice questions Jam have asked on this, so we can work it out together. So we can work it out together. Just pay attention, no? Just listen and listen well. Listen and listen well, guys. So first thing first, this root has different layers. The first layer is a layer that contains single cells. And it is the outer layer, outermost. Anything that is outer, is it endo or epi? Endo is inner, epi is outer. So this is called the epidermis of the leaf, of the roots. Alright, it contains what are single cells like this. What I'm doing right now, you can see the way I'm drawing it. Alright, you can see the way I'm just putting the diagram. You can see the way I'm putting the diagram. This forms what now? The outer layer of what the root, after cutting the root structure. Alright, we will now show what now the concentric what diagram. All the layers are arranged in a concentric what? What do you call it now? In a concentric layer, like a ring. Do you understand? So that is for that. So what is the function of this epidermis of the root? It is its function is to protect the root. It's the outermost layer of the root. All right, it is the outermost. All right, the outermost layer of the root is what epidermis. I had to cut that show you guys like this. It was unlike I cut that show you guys what like this. There are specific terms for this. But I don't just tell you, cut and show you guys like this. You can see here, right? So what the outer is the what the epidermis, and it protects what everybody? The root. Are you there? It protects what? The root. Now pay attention. And this part contains what now? Single layers of thin cells. It contains what? Single layers of thin cells. Alright? Now note this. Note this. This epidermis, which is the outer layer, something grows out from it. Root hair grows out from this layer. Alright? Root hair grows out from this layer. I don't know if you see on this diagram in your biology. Alright? Root hair grows out from this one area. Root hair grows out from this area. Root hair grows out from what? This area. Very essential. So that is for that. Root hair grows out from what? This layer of the epidermis. Do you understand? And what is the function of this root hair? It basically helps, all right? It basically helps in, in absorption of what? Water and mineral. All right? It basically helps in absorption of water and mineral. This is plant biology. Sometimes it is little bit, it's not interesting the way animal is, but it's essential it. All right? It is essential, it's very important. Because you don't tell Jam that you don't like anything that has to do with plants. No, you don't do that. All right? So basically, you have to know it's very essential. So you can see the outer layer called the what now? The epidermis. We said what it does. It contains root hair, which grows from what? Now the epidermis, and it helps to absorb water and what? It helps to absorb water and minerals. All right? It helps to what? Absorb water and minerals. So now moving further, the next layer, listen, the next layer of these roots, they call it the cortex layer. All right, the next layer of this root, we call it cortex layer. It's just after the water epidermis. All right, it's just afterwards the epidermis. And this is how it looks like. All right, this is how it looks like. Just pay attention. All right, this is how it looks like. So the next one, I want to draw another ring. All right, so this one basically contains I'll tell us the name, what they call it. What this guy is called. Just pay attention, I'm going to tell you what this guy is called. They call it something. Just wait. All right, you can see what I've drawn. It's called the cortex. All right, the next layer after the epidermis is called what? The cortex. All right, take note of that. Of the root is called what? The cortex. It is called the cortex. It is called the cortex. I'm trying as best possible to ensure that I draw it. I don't want to just draw it on the board. I don't want to just draw, and if I draw like that, you'll not be able to understand anything that's happening. All right. So the next layer, the next ring after the what do you call it now? After the epidermis is what? The cortex layer, the cortex region of what? The root. What is the function of the cortex region of the root? The function of this cortex region is they help to store food and water. They help to store. They're only storage, not absorption. Storage of food and water. All right, and they allow air or gas movement in the root. All right, they allow movement of gases in the root. All right, they allow movement of gases in the root. Let me draw it properly. Let's do it again. All right, they allow movement of gases in the root. Look at it, everybody. Look at it, everybody. Just pay attention. So let's draw another layer after the epidermis. This is the epidermis, right? So now this is the cortex region. All right. So it's like this. So let's do it like this. So you cannot just, I said something like it helps in gaseous action, right? Like gas movements, yes. This cortex, it helps in what? Gas movement. Why? Because of these air spaces, all these air spaces, all right, they help in what? The movement of gases, all right, in the root. They help in movement of gases in what? The root, all right. They help in movement of gases in the root, guys, very important. They help in what? The movement of gases in the root. All right. Now the next ring after the cortex. All right. The next ring layer after the cortex. The next ring layer after the cortex is the endodermis. All right. The endodermis. Look at it. You know, endo means like inner, right? So the next one is called what? The endodermis. Alright, endo is inner. Epi is outside. Do you see the endodermis? This, like this one now, this one is the endodermis. Alright, note all this. So this is what? The endodermis. What's the function of the endodermis? This one, they contain waxy band. All right. Now, George, let me tell you, one of the functions that they act as gatekeepers. They control things that enter into the vascular tissues. Just relax. They control things that enters into what now? The vascular tissues of the plant. All right. Of the plant of the roots. All right. So now, just pay attention. Pay attention, everybody. Very, very important. Or let me do it this way. First of all, we agree that this is the endodermis, right? The control things that enter into this place. And this place contains what we call vascular tissues. Alright? Specifically, the vascular tissue we have there is called cambium. Alright? It's called what? Cambium. Hope you know what the cambium is. Remember, the cambium is what? What is the cambium? The cambium is a meristematic tissue. Do you understand? So basically, what that control things that enter into the what do you call it now? The vascular tissue, like the vascular cambium, is what now? The endodermis. It is what, everybody? The endodermis. All right, the endodermis. Very, very important. The endodermis. All right. So that is for that. So I want to basically tell you guys something very essential right now. I want to draw a diagram inside the other circle we are seeing now. Then I'll label the things that I found there. All right. Inside that last circle, we have more of our vascular tissues. Be it we talk about the cambium, and we talked about the cambium, where the cambium is from when we started this class lesson. That the cambium is what, everybody? The cambium is a meristematic what? Tissue. All right. The cambium is what? A meristematic tissue. So now look at how here works. Look at how this guy works. Everybody pay attention. So there's a double layer like this, there's a double layer like this, and like this, right? So inside this place contains the vascular tissues like the cambium. The cambium is what forms this layer, this one. Cambium, which is what? A meristematic tissue, called the vascular cambium. Whereby, listen, whereby this place, these areas inside is called the phloem. Or that phloem, what do you call it now? The phloem tissue. Whereby the center, it contains what? They call that center basically contains the xylem, what do you call it now? The xylem tissue. Alright, the xylem tissue. Alright, so that is for that. So this one is the phloem, whereby the center here contains the xylem tissue. Now, actually, at all of these, listen everybody, at this area, we have like two different layers. Just pay attention, like two different layers. The first one you're seeing contains the cambium, whereby this other one contains what we call pericycle. Alright, the pericycle. Please note it. Alright, it contains what we call it now, the pericycle. Very, very important. The pericycle is now the one that is the last layer before you get to where? The xylem. Alright, the last layer before you get to where now? The xylem. Alright, very, very important, guys. Very, very important. Before you now get to the xylem and the phloem tissues, before you get to the xylem and what the phloem tissues, so you can see what we have talked about on these diagrams, right? So please, this is like a diagrammatic illustration of how the root looks like. It's arranged in a concentric ring, a layer. The first layer is the epidermis, right? Which basically contains the root hair that helps in absorption of water, minerals, and transport it into what now? This next layer. What's the next layer called? It is called the cortex, that contains air spaces for movement of what now? Gases. You understand? After that, we have the endodermis. Alright, after the endodermis, we now have what now? The cambium. Alright, we now have what? The pericycle. Before we now get to this, what do you call it now? The phloem tissues, and then at the center here, the xylem tissues. Alright, all these are what we see in a root. All right, all these are what we see in a root, guys. All these things are essential. Note them, they will help you a lot. So without wasting time, let us answer questions that pertains to what I just said now. All right, let us answer questions that pertains to what I just said now. You can see, this is a question. It says, root hair is a jam question. Root hair develops from which part? Everybody tell me. Is it that root hair develops from the xylem, from the phloem, from the pericycle, from the cambium, from the endodermis, from the cortex, or the epidermis? Class, these are the options Jam gave. A is cortex, B is epidermis, alright, C is pericycle, alright, C is pericycle, and D is xylem. What is the answer? You can see the importance of this diagram. Alright, class, what's the answer? Epidermis. It's very cheap. Alright, it's a very cheap one. You have to understand these things, they're not hard. Alright, they are not hard at all. Alright, they are not hard at all. You have to note them very well. You have to note them very, very well. You have to note them very, very well. I remember telling us something about let me tell you guys something. Just relax and listen well. Which parts, everybody listen, which parts of these roots help in the storage of food? I told us it is the cortex region. Alright, it is the cortex that helps in storage of food and water. I said that, guys. So this is now a jam question. Jam asked this question on the statement I just made right now. Alright, and here is the question. Please listen and listen well. They said, let me read it out. They said, where are you? They said, where is food stored in a root? Is it in the xylem? Is it in the pericycle phloem? What's the answer? Cortex. If it is food storage, it's stored in what? The cortex. Class, all these things are easy. You have to just understand what is happening. You just have to understand what is happening. Alright, I believe it is clear. Let me get into more diagrammatic questions so we can work on them right now. Alright, let me get into more diagrammatic questions so we can work on them right now. Alright, so that is for that. Now, without wasting time, let us quickly talk about the function of the pericycle. Alright, the pericycle basically, they contribute to the thickening of roots in some plants. Alright, they help to thicken more of the roots in some plants. Just note that. Alright, whereby the endodermis, they serve as a gatekeeper that controls things that enter into the vascular tissues, those xylem and phloem. Alright, those xylem and the phloem tissues. You understand what is happening? Now, let me quickly say something that is very essential right now. What is the function of a xylem tissue? Xylem, they help to transport water and mineral, whereby phloem, they help to transport food from the leaf to the root of a plant. Just note it, xylem, they help to transport water and mineral, whereby phloem is they help to transport food from the leaf to what at the root of what a plant. Alright, so that is for that. Class, note all this so they will help you a lot. Note all these. Plants sometimes might not be interesting, but it is good you note it. Alright, it's good you note it. Now let me tell us something. Inside these phloem tissues we are talking about, we have some special cells that are inside phloem tissues. We call them companion cells. Cells inside those phloem tissues, we call them companion what cells. Everybody note it. The special cells inside the phloem tissues are called what? The companion what? Cells. Very, very essential. Alright? Very, very essential. So you can see what we are talking about, right? These companion cells, they are found in what now? The phloem what? Tissues. Note that. Alright, they are found in phloem what? Tissues. So that is for that. Now, let me tell you something. There are some certain tubes that are found in phloem tissue. They call them sieve tubes. Sieve tubes. Remember, the cells here, companion cells. The tubes here, sieve tubes. Where are they found also? In the phloem tissue. Remember, phloem help in conducting movement or transporting food from what the leaf to the root, right? So basically here, we just have to understand that the conducting cells or those conducting tubes that helps phloem, basically, we call them what now? The sieve what tubes. All right, the sieve tubes. Just note that. All right. So that is for that. That is for that. I'm coming. All right. Okay, we are good. We are good on this. So you can see how all this works, that companion cells, sieve tubes are found where? Are they found in xylem? No, they are found in what? Phloem what tissues. All right, they are found in what? Phloem tissues. They are found in phloem tissues. So that is for that. So right now, I want to stress on the xylem and the phloem tissues properly. It will help us a lot. I want to stress on the xylem tissues and the phloem tissue properly in a plant. We've already seen the functions of these guys. That this guy help to transport water, mineral, but the phloem is food substances. Then let's talk about it. Let's talk about the xylem and phloem tissue properly right now, guys. Let's do that. So I'll be wiping the bottle and talk about that. All right, so let us move further. Now, let me tell us something. Let's talk about the xylem. Let's start with the xylem tissue, which is a vascular tissue that is found where, just relax, This guy is a tissue. Relax. Remember, after we talk about simple tissues, simple plant tissues, those Parenchyma, Collenchyma, Sclerenchyma, we went further to talk about root structure and we came here. So this xylem now. So what is this xylem tissue? It's a vascular tissue, we all agree. Alright? We'll all agree that xylem tissue is what now? It's a vascular tissue. What's the function? They help to transport water and what? Mineral. Alright? They help to transport water and mineral from the root to the rest of the plant. So let's say basically we have a plant like this, right? We have a plant like this. This is the root, right? So this xylem tissue, remember we said that this xylem, they are literally found where? They are found in the roots. We've established that fact now. They are found we saw it now when we draw the root structure of this root. We pick one of the root and draw the structure. We saw it. They are found here, right? So they help in transporting water and mineral from the soil. So in an upward direction, all right, in an upward direction. So what are the leaves of that plant? Do you understand what I'm talking about? So what are the leaves of that word plant? You can see what we are talking about, right? So that is what is just happening. I'm just sketching diagram. So you can see what we are talking about. They help in transporting what now? Food. Not food, water and mineral from the root of the plant to the rest part of the plant. Alright? So what are the main structures that are found, or the main types of cells that are found in a xylem? Now everybody listen. There are four important kind of cells that are found in a xylem tissue. Number one, they call them the trachea cells. The next one is called the vessels. The next one is called the xylem fiber and the xylem parenchyma. Alright? The first one, we call them the trachea cells, which is found in the xylem tissue. Alright? The trachea cells, the vessel, the xylem fiber. Alright? So we have the trachea cells, we have the vessels, we have the xylem fiber, and also we have the xylem parenchyma. Alright, all these are found where in the xylem. They are cells, they are part or component of what? The xylem. Alright, they are part or component of what? The xylem. We've talked about the xylem function. One of the functions is that transport of water mineral, or take not food or water mineral. They also help to give mechanical support to the stem and root. Alright, they help to give mechanical support to what now? The stem and root. Alright, and the way xylem move, I told us, xylem, that water and mineral, they transport it in what? Upward direction from the roots. Upward what direction? Are you there? In an upward direction, that's where the water and minerals are transported. In upward what direction? Alright, so that is for that. That is for that. That is for that. I'm coming. I'm coming so we can talk about it. All right. Now, let me just tell us something that is essential. I want to tell you something that is essential. Remember, we established the fact that these xylem, they are found in roots, or so they also go through what now? The stem, right? Like they are found in the root, they support the root and stem, right? Since they support, that means they are part of them. Do you understand? And they are found, the way they move. So let's say basically this is a stem now, right? This is stem. Let's say this is stem. So the way these food substances in this stem move is in one, these are food substances, right? Is in one direction. Alright, is in what? One direction. So the xylem tissue will not be something like this. Will not be something like this. Inside the stem. Do you understand? And you can see how it's going from the roots. Do you understand? These are the food substances and mineral going upward to what now? Other part of what? The plant. Alright, other parts of the plant. Take note of that too. Very, very important. Take note of that. Very, very essential, guys. Very, very important. So we can. So the way xylem moves substances is one-way movement. Alright, the movement of substances is by what? One way. Alright, one way. So that is for that on that, guys. That is for that on that. Please note what I said about the xylem containing these four different cells. The first one is called the trachea cells, the vessels, the xylem fiber, and also the xylem what? Parenchyma. The xylem parenchyma. That is for that. Okay, now let me quickly just sketch. Sorry, transport of water, mineral water, sorry, is mineral and water. Alright, thank you so much for that. Mineral and water. So let me quickly just sketch the diagram of what is xylem tissue. Alright, though I just showed us inside the stem. Let's go understand how the tissue really works. Alright, so that is for that. Let me quickly just draw the diagram of what now is xylem tissue, because I want us to be able to use all this knowledge to be able to tackle questions on plant tissues in general. So let me quickly just do that. So let me wipe this part and quickly draw the diagram of what a plant is xylem tissue. Xylem is for transport of water and minerals, but food is phloem. This is what your jam will ask you questions on. No. So just listen. So let's just basically draw this like this. Alright. Alright, so this is how it works. Just pay attention. Right, this is how it works. So this one that we're having like this is what we call the what do you call it now? The Xylem Parenchyma. Alright, this is how it works. So this one is the Xylem Parenchyma. Parenchyma. Whereby the parts, all those stuff you are seeing inside that are all arranged like this, let's just arrange them in one line. Alright, maybe in a straight line like this. A straight line like this. They are the vessels. They are the vessels of this, what do you call it? I'll tell you their functions very soon. We call them the vessels. Alright, the vessels. Alright, the vessel. Whereby this one is the tracheal cells. The tracheal of what now is xylem tissue. Alright, the tracheal of what, everybody, is xylem tissue. Alright? So that is for that. Okay, all right. Now, whereby for the xylem fiber, they are all around these xylem. They are all around. They are in the tracheal, they are in the xylem parenchyma, they are also in the vessels. They are only for mechanical support. Alright, they give strength to the xylem tissues. Alright, they are only for what? Mechanical support. Alright? They are only for what? Mechanical support in a plant. They are only for what? Mechanical support. The xylem, which help in transfer of what now? Water and also, mineral in general. Water and mineral in general. So without wasting time, let us talk about the function of the... so in summary, which one out of these four elements in a xylem, which one helps to strengthen the xylem more? It is the xylem fiber. Which one basically stores... which one basically helps in storage of water in the xylem? It is xylem parenchyma. Note that. Alright? Note that. Alright? Meanwhile, which part of the xylem contains cells that are stacked end to end? Alright? They contain cells that are stacked end to end. Are you not seeing it? And these cells that are arranged end to end, they are called the vessels. I talked about them, right? They are called what? The vessels. And their function is basically they help in water flow. Alright, that water that moves through through the xylem, they help in proper water flow in the xylem tissue. This is the function. Which one helps for strength? Fiber. Which one helps in water flow? The vessels in the xylem tissues. Alright, the vessels in the xylem tissue. Which one helps in storage of the water? The xylem parenchyma. Alright. And which one does the water now at the end passes through is the tracheal. all right, to go to the where it's needed, all right, to go to where what it is needed. So we have talked on everything. We have basically established all the facts here. No more stress on all this. All right. Without wasting time, let us talk about the phloem tissue quickly. The phloem tissue quickly. Now, the phloem tissue basically is a vascular tissue that helps in mainly movement of food, and the food is sugar. All right, mainly food movement. All right. Remember, we said that the phloem tissues also is made up of 4 important cells. Remember, we talked about the sieve tubes when we started. The sieve tubes, the companion cells, and the phloem fiber and the phloem parenchyma. All right. So the way xylem has all of these, the phloem tissue also have all of what these. All right. The phloem tissues also have all of these things. First of all, it has sieve tubes, it has companion cells, it has phloem. So first you have sieve tubes, companion cells. They have phloem fibers. Also they have phloem parenchyma. Are you there? So that is for that. You can see the 4 things that contains that the phloem also is made up of, the way the xylem is made up of those other guys. Are you there? So please note all this. So now, which one did I tell us? Which one basically did I tell us basically helps, let me tell us. When I talk about phloem initially, I talked about that one is the conducting cell in the phloem that help to conduct that food. Though phloem help in movement of food, right? Transfer of food, right? So which one is that conducting cell in the phloem? It is the sieve tube. So it is the sieve tube itself that conduct the food to where it's needed in the plant. Alright? So that is for that. Whereby the companion cells, they support this one, they are named companion, they support the sieve tubes. They support the sieve tube. While for the phloem tissue, the phloem fibers, when this guy gives strength to the xylem tissue, that's how the phloem tissue also gives strength to the phloem tissue. Whereby the phloem parenchyma, they help in storage of food. Alright, they help in storage of food. The phloem parenchyma, the way xylem parenchyma help in storage of the water. They also help in storage of food. This one strength for the phloem tissue, they support sieve tube. These are the conducting cells. Alright, these are the conducting cells. Alright, so that is for that. You can see how we've been able to work on the difference between xylem and phloem tissues to learn the components of these guys. They are not really hard. This part of biology is not interesting. Students don't like it, but it's good you learn it, so it's essential. Alright, so that is for that. It is essential. This is where they bring question and just finish jam bite. Alright, finish a lot of jam bite. If that's what they do, so as a student, it's expected for you to know them. Alright, it's expected for you to know them. It's expected for you to know them. So that is for that. No problem. Let us quickly just the diagram, the one for phloem is similar to this, but just understand most, especially the component of it. Alright, what is made up of. Alright, the way we just established those facts. The way we have established those facts. So with what I've said, so we can also answer some questions based on what I've said so far. Alright, we can answer some questions based on what we have said so far. Now, there's a question I just saw here. It says the star-shaped structure in the roots is called, guys, if you check that structure I drew, check your notes now. Those roots, concentric ring layer. Which one has that something like a star shape? Is xylem. Xylem is a jump question. Alright, is that xylem? That last layer 9, that concentric layers we drew. Alright, is the xylem. Alright, it is the xylem. It is what? The xylem. It is the what, everybody? The xylem. Note what I just said is essential. Note it. It is what? Essential. Note it. It is essential, guys. Very, very important. Very, very important, guys. Alright, so that is for that. That is for that. That is for that. Now, let me tell you something very, very important we must learn. Now, there's a term called stele in root. Just note here that the stele contains the following. They call it stele. When I say stele in a root, that structure we draw. The xylem, the phloem, and the pericycle, they are all part of the stele. They all form the stele. Guys, the phloem, the xylem, and the pericycle, they all include the stele of what? A root. Everybody listen. Alright, listen. Alright? You know, before we got to those vascular tissues, what was the layer that helped us, that surrounded those? It is the endodermis now. It's because I've wiped it on the board. Check your diagram. It is the endodermis first. We've now got to those pericycle, cambium. We got to what are the phloem, the xylem, which has star shape. You understand what we're talking about? So the xylem, phloem, and the pericycle, they are all part of what? The stele. Alright? Note that. Because I saw a question now on that. Let me show you guys a question in the jumper. Question number 10. Look at it. It says, look at it. It says, look at it on the board. It says, okay, let me not show you. Let me just write it on the board. So you can see how all these things work. They're not really hard. I want to write the question on the board right now. It's a jump question on this one we have learned so far. So I believe I can wipe the board right, so we can move further to talk about that question. Because I want to ensure that this class will solve our problem on plant tissues. Alright? So that is for that. Alright, so here's the question. It says, let me see how smart you guys are. I just said that the stele basically contains the following. What are they? Or style anyhow? Stele. It contains the xylem, the phloem, and the pericycle. So here is the jump question on what I just said. In the root vascular system, the stele is directly surrounded by A. cortex, B. endodermis, C. Parenchyma, and D. pericycle. Everybody, what is the answer to this simple question? What is the answer to this question? Stele, I said it contains three things. It surrounds three things. The xylem, phloem, or pericycle. What is the answer to this cheap question on the board? Tell me in the comment section so we can move further. Do that now. Do that, I'm waiting. No, you don't. That means you've not been listening. What are you guys saying? No, don't get it wrong. Stele contains the following: either pericycle, xylem, or phloem. Before you get to the stele, you see the endodermis. I'm not saying now. In the root, in the root, the stele is surrounded. Directly surrounded by. Surrounded by, we're going to be the endodermis. Alright, correct. Do you understand what is happening? But what does the stele contain, first of all? Just listen very well. Wait first, hold on guys, because they will receive the question now. Let us get this question straight so we can be able to answer it, because it's a very cheap one. Wait. Hold on so we can work it out together. So the answer here is going to be the endodermis, because what's correct, what actually surrounds it, which we've talked about, is endodermis. But what does it contain? What does it contain? We know what it contains. The pericycles, xylem, and what the phloem. So very good, very good. It's not going to be this, but I believe you are aware that if the question is coined in a way that they will not say, what does it contain? Hope you know the answer will be pericycle. Do you understand? If xylem is not there or phloem is not there, all right? If xylem or phloem is not there, you get what I'm saying, all right? Good, all right, good. So that is for that. So the answer is, so when we after the endodermis, which basically is gatekeeper, then we get into those vascular tissues, which include the xylem, phloem, the pericycle. You understand? But if the question was playing the way that, what does this guy contain? Pericycle. Very good. You guys are doing so well. I'm proud of you guys. All right. So that is for that. Let us move further to other vital area in this aspect of biological plant tissues. All right. So that is for that. All right, let me just tell you something. There's another vital. I'm looking at the questions here to tackle there. There's a question that I ask you: which part of a plant lacks that waterproof structure? That waterproof structure in a plant, you know, they call it cortical. It's found in a leaf. When I taught you guys in nutrition, when we talk about leaf, the internal structure of the leaf, we saw the cortical, the upper epidermis, the lower epidermis, all of those palisade mesophyll, spongy mesophyll. You know what I'm talking about now? Those stuff like this of a leaf. When I taught us all of those things, all right. This leaf structure now. These are the xylem and the phloem tissues inside here. This is the lower epidermis, whereby what controls the opening and closing of the here's the guts, here's the stomata, and these are the gut cells that control opening and closing of the stomata. Alright? So there are corticals here that prevent the leaf from losing water. Alright, that waterproof structure in a plant is called cortical that prevent that plant from losing water. So leaf has cortical, but the part of the plant that doesn't have it is roots. How will root? Because roots will not have it, because if that is cortical is present in the plant, it will prevent that structure from absorbing water. Sorry, it will prevent that structure from losing water. Do you understand? It will prevent that structure from what everybody losing water. So the question said, listen. No. Remember, we said that the cell contains three things: pericycle, the xylem and the phloem tissue. All right, the pericycle. That's how you should note it. All right, that's how you should note it. Which part of the plant structure that? Which part of the plant structure that basically prevents, that lacks that lacks a waterproof cortical is the root, is the roots, guys, because the roots are underground and they need to absorb water, not to prevent it. Do you understand? The cortical is a waxy layer that prevents water loss. All right. So, and leaves and stems, they have cortical. Do you understand? They have cortical to stop water from evaporating, to stop water from leaving there. All right. But roots, roots are underground. They are underwater. And they need to absorb more water, not to prevent the absorption. They need to absorb more water. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's why if you say in the question that which part of the plant structure lacks waterproof cortical, the answer is what? Root and root. All right. So that is for that. Everybody, look at this other question I just saw. So here is it. It says use the diagram below to answer 12 to 13. The part labeled one is what? C is the answer, root hair, right? Root hair, I told you guys already. What about the other? The diagram is a transverse section. Okay, that's for 12. Just answer 12 first. The answer is what? Root hair, C, right? I believe it's clear, right? I believe that is clear. So we'll get into the next one. Just pay attention. You can see how they drew their own here. So that is for that. Class, is it clear? Class, I believe all these things are making sense to you, right? Are they making sense to you? Are they making sense to you? Good. Now, let me just tell you something. You know, plant could be dicot or monocot. Are you there? Plant could be what? Dicot or monocot. Please listen and listen well. Plant could be dicot or what? Monocot. There's something I want to tell us right now. Very, very essential. Very, very what? Essential. Note that plant could be dicot or monocot. Now, let me just tell us the difference between a dicot root and a monocot root. A dicotyledonous root of a plant and a monocotyledonous root of a what? Plant. All right, I'll just give us the simple difference. So when we see structures on them, we can answer them together. All right, when we see structures on them, we can answer them together. I'm coming, guys. Now, first thing first, one seed leaf. Well, that's in their seed leaf. From the word dicot, they have two seed leaves. Monocot, they have one seed leaves. That's simple, right? But we can also use the xylem. The xylem it contains in the root structure. Let me just tell you something. If the xylem has star shape, we say that you are a dicot. I told you guys now. The xylem of a. Listen, everybody. Are you not seeing something? Look at it. It's not like looking like a star. So basically, look at the xylem now. You can see what we're talking about, right? So that is for that. It's a dicot root. It's a dicot what? Root. Note that. If that star shape is a dicot what? Root. Class, is that making sense to us? Oh my God. All right, it's okay now. What I just said, does it make sense to us? Why, if the xylem ring, the xylem arranged like a ring, everybody, listen. Let's say we have a root structure now, which we all have understood, right? So this is one root. There are hairs, right? There are hairs all around, like there are hair structures, like hair structure. We have layers, right? We have layers. We have layers of it. But let's just get into the xylem. If you look like a star, like this. Like a star shape, something like that. This is not a perfect star shape, but like a star shape. We say that you are a dicot root. Do you understand? But if you look like all these guys are arranged like a ring, you are what? A monocot root. Class, star, ring. That's one difference. So no, a dicot and a monocot root. Does it make sense for us? All these things are not hard, they are easy. Just practice and you will be perfect. Alright, so that is for that. That is for that, everybody. That is for what? That. That is for that. Also, it also have its own root hair. It also have its own what? Root hair. You can see what we are talking about, right? So one is dicot. You use the xylem to get it. One is a dicot, one is a monocot root. Does it make sense? Does it make sense to us? Yeah, it actually makes sense. Class, does this make sense to us? So I said a question. So what becomes this root first of all? Because the diagram is not clear. Is this star or ring? What will you guys go for? Because they said the diagram is the transverse section of what? All right, based on your question, is it monocot? Is it dicot? Is it this or that? First of all, the even row stem is not a stem now. Hey, it's not a stem. All right, 13 is not a stem. It's a root. All right, the root option A they wrote option A. They said no, but they wrote D as the answer. They wrote dicotyledonous. I don't know. Just the diagram is not clear. All right, their own diagram is not clear. So I don't know what they drew. Is it monocot or dicot? You know, we are seeing it differently. Is it star? Does that look like a star? I don't know. But in your JAM exam, it will be clearer. In your JAM exam, it will be clearer. Do you understand? So that is for that. That is for that. Class, I believe it's Hope K, right? What we just said, Hope is making sense to you. Hope all these are making sense to you guys. Are they making sense? Let me know so I can leave here and do something else. Are they making sense? Let me know in the comments. If what we are doing right now is making sense to you, all right, good one. Good one, everybody, good one. Good one. I'm trying to get more questions that pertains to us. All right. All right, I'm coming. Guys, listen. Pericycle function is to produce lateral roots. Lateral roots. Please take note. Pericycle function is to produce what? Lateral root. All right. Lateral root. Please note it, All right. What's a lateral root? A lateral root basically is a root that grows out from another root. Hey, look at it. This is a plant now, right? You know, we have some roots that grows directly from the stem. We have some that grows from another root. All those ones that grow from another root, we call them lateral roots. And who basically helps in the production of lateral roots? The pericycle. The peri what? Cycle, guys. Very essential. The peri what? Cycle. Note it. Note what I just said. Very essential. Note what I just said. Very, very essential, guys. Right? All right. I'm coming. I'm coming, guys, so we can move further. Now, let us quickly just draw. Let us quickly understand the diagram of a monocot and a dicot stem. All what we talked about is roots and roots and roots. So let us stress on stem, everybody. When we talk about the root, let us stress on this stem. How does this stem look like? You know, we can also see stems are found in monocotyledonous plant and also dicotyledonous plant. Alright, I taught us in classification, basic introductory biology. Alright, so let us talk about the stem in general, stems. You know, this is a stem. This is the stem, right? So let us talk about that. Let us talk about the stem. Now pay attention. In biology, you have to understand here that the stem is a part of a plant that supports leaves, flowers, and fruits. It carries water, mineral from the roots to the leaves, and also carries food from the leaves to other parts of the plant. So, you know, through it, the xylem tissue moves. So the xylem moves, transfer water and mineral, and also the phloem tissue also transfer food substance to leaves. It carries leaves, it carries fruits. You get what I'm saying? That's what the stem does in a plant. You get what I'm saying, right? So now, without wasting time, it supports leaves, flowers, and fruits. The fruit that will be produced, it supports everything. So its function is support. Another function is transport of different things like those water, minerals, food substances, and also it also stores some food. It also helps to store food. But most importantly here, we have to know that we have two types of stems. We have dicot stems and monocot stems. All right, dicot stem and monocot stem, everybody. All right, a dicot stem and what now? A monocot stem. So let us quickly just draw them. Let us draw the diagram in this format. So you get to see what we are talking about. They are similar, but just they are little difference. So when you see questions on dicot, monocot stem in your exam, you can answer it. So first of all, this stem, they have, first of all, they will be arranged in layers. Are you there? What is the outer layer of this stem called? They call them the epidermis. Alright, so let's form the first layer called the epidermis. This is epidermis. Same applies. This is what the epidermis. You know what we've established this before now. So after this, we also have other parts of this stem, which we are going to stress on right now. We also have other parts of this stem. Now let me tell you, this stem, this epidermis contains cortical to prevent water loss. It contains cortical. Remember that cortical is a waterproof structure in roots. Sorry, in stems. Roots does not have cortical. In stems and leaves and root and stems have cortical. Leaves and stem has cortical. Do you understand that? Prevent water loss. And where is this cortical found in the stem, the epidermis? Same applies. It's found in the upper epidermis of a leaf. I taught you guys the leaf now. Go and learn it. Alright, so that's the epidermis first. Next thing, now hair can also grow from them. Alright, they contain some hair structures. Alright, now the next layer after the epidermis is called the cortex. Alright, what I say is called the cortex. Note that it's called the cortex. And this cortex is made up of more of parenchyma cells. Alright, after that we now have the vascular bundles. That two guys, which are the xylem and the phloem tissue. Alright, which are the xylem and the phloem tissues. Which are the xylem and the phloem tissues. Note it, note what I just said. I'm coming, let me tell you guys something essential here. Alright, so remember I said that let us quickly draw one. After epidermis is the cortex region. Alright, the cortex region. Let's just say this is the cortex region. This is the cortex region. Are you there? And the cortex region contains the following. It contains those your parenchyma, those your collenchyma tissues. Alright? That is for that. After that, we have the vascular bundles. Alright, the vascular bundles. That's the next one. Alright, the vascular bundles. All right, the vascular bundles, which are what are the xylem and the phloem tissues. But let me just tell us something that is very essential. All right, let me tell you something about these vascular bundles that is very essential in this stem. So same applies. The next one is called the cortical. All right. So now they now have vascular bundles. These are the vascular bundles. All right, just wait. Now, so like this structure here contains both the xylem and the phloem tissue. That's what I want to say. That structure here there contains both the xylem and the phloem tissue. All right, you can see that this one is arranged in a ring, whereas this one is scattered. All right, this one is scattered anyhow. The xylem and the phloem tissue, which are these structures, is scattered. So the one that has a scattered like xylem and phloem tissue is called a monocot stem. Why this one is for monocots now? Why the one that has a ring-like xylem and phloem tissue arranged well is the dicot stem. Alright, the dicot what stem? Please note what I just said. Note it, it is very important. Alright, it is very, very important. Whereby moving further, we are on the dicot. I'm talking about the dicot. I'm talking about what? The dicot. Whereby there is, after this xylem, there is another central region. They call it pitch. This one is found in dicot. They call it what? Pitch. In what now? The dicot stem. Alright? And this pitch contains parenchyma tissues. Alright? It contains parenchyma tissue. Most importantly, you should understand the diagram. Alright? It contains what? Parenchyma tissues. Alright? So that is for that. Pitch. Just like this. Pitch. P-I-T-H. That is for that. Oh, very, very important. That is for that. Okay, now, moving further, between these xylem and phloem tissue, like between these guys, all of them contains the cambium, alright? Whereby also there are other structures that runs like this. We call them the medullary rays, alright? Medullary rays, they are lines. Medullary rays. Whereby between them, this xylem and phloem that are arranged in this order, we have what we call the what do you call it now? The cambium. All right, the cambium. That is for a dicot. That is for a dicot stem. All right, that is for a dicot what stem. So that is for that, everybody. So let us complete the monocot stem. Let us do that now. So next thing first, actually in a monocot stem, let us get this straight. Please listen. In a monocot stem, there is no distinct, there's no distinct difference between the cortex of the pitch. So actually there is no distinct feature between the cortex and the pitch. Do you understand? Remember, if you observe what I'm saying right now, this place they just call it ground tissues, where all the things are just found. where the cortex and also the pitch are found. Do you understand? There's no distinct diagram that separates the cortex and what now the pitch there. And let me just tell you something about this monocot. There is no cambium. Cambium is not here. All right, no. You know, I told us that between all these guys are in the ring, there's a cambium, but here they are just scattered, right? So no cambium. Right? It's no Tito in a monocot. There is no word cadmium. All right? So take note of that. So that is for that. And the pitch is not distinct. You know, initially there was a pitch. So the difference between this dicot, no pitch, the pitch is not clear. It's just anyhow. It's just surrounded everywhere. You understand? The pitch is clear. The cortex, everything is just clear in what now? In a dicot stem. I see the difference because there are questions on this jam I've asked. So let me quickly go to the questions so we can trash them together. All right, let me go to the questions so we can trash them together. All right. All right. Let's work on this now. In a monocot root, there is no, what do you call it now, cambium. You know, what's the function of cambium, first of all? We said that the cambium basically helps in, is a meristematic tissue. They help in growth, and the growth is like secondary, all right? Secondary, they can form secondary xylem, all right? One of their functions is for secondary, they produce secondary xylem and phloem. Do you understand? Which makes the stem and root more thicker. But in monocot roots, there is no cambium. Are you there? There is no cambium. Just take note of that. So that is for that. Same applies in the monocot stem. Okay. So this medullary, they run from this cortex. So let's just say they run from the cortex down to the, what do you call it now? From the cortex down to the pitch. All right, they run from the cortex down to what, the pitch. So that is for that. So that is for that. Coming out. Now, let me tell you something very, very important here. There is a question I want us to answer, all right, on this stem we have talked on so far. Everybody listen. peripheral arrangement of vascular tissue in Dicot. Let me write it on the board, all right? So I'll wipe the board. We'll be able to establish a lot of that. So I'll wipe it also, we can work it out together. So questions on STEM. Let us quickly answer some questions on STEM based on what we have learned so far now. Let us tackle questions on STEM. Please listen up. So the first one I have here, it says peripheral arrangement. So the question you ask yourself, what is peripheral arrangement of vascular tissues? Your vascular tissues are majorly your xylem and phloem tissues. In a dicot, hope you know how a dicot looks like, is a characteristic of the internal structure. Let me get a good marker. Internal structure of dash A leaf, B petiole, C stem, and D roots. First of all, as a student, you have to know what periphery means. All right, what does the word peripheral means? That's how we can answer this question. It's a very cheap one. All right. Now, listen. When we say peripheral means something that is towards the outer part. Something that is towards the outer part and arranged like a ring format. Do you understand? Something that is towards the outer part arranged in what? A ring format. Then I said peripheral arrangement of vascular tissues. What are these vascular tissues? It's not Xylem and Phloem tissues in Dicot. In Dicot, they did not finish it. In Dicot, is it Dicot stem or Dicot root? We've drawn the diagrams for these two guys. It's simple. When I see periphery and they are relating to vascular tissue, they are really telling us that okay, these vascular tissues are found in the outer region, in a Dicot root and a Dicot stem. Listen, for the vascular bundles which are the tissue which are the xylem and phloem, which one is found at the outer, which one is found inside? Don't feel it, simple. Remember when I drew Dicot just now, Dicot is the epidermis, this is the cortex, and we have basically all of those guys, right? This is the cortex now. Yes, now. This is the epidermis. This is the cortex region. These are those vascular bundles or vascular tissues which are arranged in the outer. Not that when something is periphery, it's arranged like outer. It's arranged towards the outside, not inside. In the Dicot stem now, are those guys going inside? Look at that diagram. And the xylem is like star shape for a dicot. Do you understand? So when they are periphery outer, do you understand? So where is this seen? Is this seen in a root or a leaf? Yes. Sorry, is this seen in the stem, root, leaf, petiole? Class, what is the answer? The answer is stem now. Dicot stem. These are all the guys. You know, this is the pitch, right? Do you understand? Whereby from the cortex, there's a line that draws down like this. Do you understand? What we drew just now. They arranged in a ring. Let it peripherally like ring. Do you understand what I just did, class? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Very good. Very good. You can see how it works. Very good. So the answer to the question will not be what now? Stem, not root. Alright, what will leaf? What is a petiole? That's the question you asked me. I taught us when I taught us leaf. When I taught us leaf, I talked about the petiole. Alright. What is a petiole? When I taught us leaf, I told us it's the stalk that connects the leaf to the stem. Alright. You know, there is a stalk. There is something that connects the leaf to the stem. It's the petiole. What connects the leaf to the stem is called what? The petiole. Right, what connect the leaf? You know, leaf Leaf cannot just grow from, it will be like something that is basically growing from, let's say something like this. Do you understand? So this is the petiole. Do you get what I'm saying? So that does not have business with vascular tissues and dicot. You get what I'm saying? So that is for that. Periphery, outer. Outer. Do you understand? So that is for that. So let us move further to more questions pertaining to this area. All right. All these things are already hard. Just proper understanding the matters here. Let's get into more questions here. Now, listen to this question. It says, which of the following is common to a dicotyledonous root and a monocotyledonous root? Everybody listen. When I talked about when I talk about dicot and monocot, I talked about just medullary ray in a dicot. It's not in monocot. So, medullary ray will not be common to both. Did I talk about pitch in I talked about pitch in dicot. I did not talk about pitch in what? A monocot root. Do you understand? I talked about this other one. I talked about wide cortex. I talked about cortex, right? I told us that there's cortex here, but it's not really distinct. Like it's just there. You understand? There's no distinct picture between the cortex and the pitch. But what is common to both of them is that they have both wide cortex. Everybody note it. All right? They have both wide cortex. All right? They have both wide cortex, everybody. They have both wide cortex. Note that, very important. Now remember, I told us secondary. I basically explained to us that secondary thickening in a dicotyledonous stem is by what? Is by cambium. Everybody, that cambium has to do with, it helps in secondary thickening, like production of those secondary Xylem and Phloem. Anything that has to do with production of secondary Xylem and Phloem is by the cambium. Anything secondary thickening of secondary production of Xylem and Phloem is by the cambium. Take note. All right, take note of that, guys. Take note of that. Now, another question I saw, it said Sclerenchyma cells are lignified. You know, in Sclerenchyma, they have lignin, right? They are lignified to what? Is it to strengthen and support plants? Is it to transport synthesized food? Is it to conduct water and salt? Is it to protect the plant from injury? No. Anything Sclerenchyma is for strength and support. So the answer is A. Sclerenchyma cells are lignified. I did not say liquefied, I said lignified. We said that they contain lignin. You know, we talked about this, all right? We talked about it when we started, all right? When we started all these. All right? So, let us move further. Anything Sclerenchyma is lignin, and lignin basically they are chemical substances that are found in the cell wall of those Sclerenchyma. All right, and their function is secondary. Their function is support, strength. All right. So that is for that. Another question. Now they asked a question. They said, which of the following statements gives the best description of bark? Which of the following statements give the best description of bark? So the question we asked ourselves, what is a bark? Bark is basically that outer protective covering of stem or branches of woody plant. You know, bark now, so this bark of this tree. It's not back, B-A-C-K. You understand? It's this one, back. Then I said, how do we describe this back? How is back described? Now just note here that the back is the outer layer of those stems. Alright, those stems, the outer layer of those your stems. But there's a way you describe them. The best way we describe them, we say that, listen everybody. Alright? Listen everybody. The back is best described as a cork-like tissue found only in stems. Alright, cork-like tissues found only in stems. Please note that. Cork-like tissues found only in what? Stems. Cork-like tissues found only what? Stems. So that is for that. That is for that. So that is for that. I saw that question here that we've talked about already. We said secondary thickening in dicotyledonous stem is controlled by what? Cambium. Anything secondary thickening of those xylem and phloem is cambium. Are you there? Cambium. Take note of those things. So very, very important. All right. Take note of those things that are very essential. Everybody. All right. All right. There's something I want to basically talk about right now. Wait. Let us talk about something. Now let me quickly draw a better diagram of a dicotyledonous stem. I want to show you guys something about this stem. Alright, a dicotyledonous what stem? This is how it looks like. Let me quickly draw the diagram and label some key areas. Alright, so these are like the roots here. So first layer we have the epidermis. This is the epidermis. After the epidermis, we now have what we call the hypodermis. All right. After the epidermis, we then have the hypodermis. Epidermis is the outer one. The inner one is hypodermis. Listen. Whereby the next one is the cortex. Everybody listen. This is the epidermis. I know I'm drawing this. For us to be able to answer some question. This they call it epidermal hair, all these hairs, they call them epidermal hair. Whereby the inside one is called hypodermis. Alright, hypodermis. Whereby this one we just drew now, you know, this is the epi, this is the epi, this is the hypo, this is the cortex now. Alright, this is the cortex. Alright, after the cortex, we now have the endodermis. After the cortex, we now have what? The endodermis. So everything is cortex. After the cortex, we now have what? The endodermis. So this one inside is the endodermis. So inside the endodermis, what next do we have? Very essential because there are questions on this area. Inside the endodermis, we then have what we call the pericycle. Alright, the pericycle, and then we now have the pitch. Alright, after the endodermis, the next small layer we now have is the pericycle, Everybody prepare this thermo, pericycle, and inside now those you know they are arranged in a ring, right? If it's scattered, it's gonna be a if it's scattered, what's gonna be? It's gonna be monocot. You understand? So these are the Xylem and Phloem, these are the vascular bundles. Whereby the last one is what? The pitch. Are you there? So please note it. You can see the level, the way it works, right? And also see about medullary vein that runs from our cortex down to what now? The cortex down to what now? The pitch. Alright, all this medullary vein, you get what I'm saying, right? So that is for that. Please note it. So this is a dicotyledonous root. Alright, sorry, this is a dicotyledonous stem. A dicotyledonous stem. I know I'm saying it. I saw a question on this, that's why I have to say it right now. Let me quickly show you guys the question so that we can be able to answer it together. Alright, just pay attention. Look at it. Question number. Wait, I'm coming. Let me look for it. Where are you? Question number 17. It says, in a dicotyledonous stem, the zone between the epidermis, this is the epidermis, right? The zone between the epidermis and the pericycle. So what is the zone between the epidermis, which is the outer layer, and the pericycle, which is this layer inside, this is the pericycle. What is the zone? You know, there are a lot of things before you even get the pericycle. There is hypodermis, there is cortex. Before you now get to that pericycle, yes now. This what they ask us, okay, what is the zone between the epidermis and what? The what? Pericycle. What is the zone? You know, there are different things. First, there is the hypodermis, there is the cortex, right? So we now look for the option that has what I just said. Alright, so the question, there is one option that says, they said option A, cortex. Option B, stele. I talk about stele that contains the pericycle, that contains Xylem and Phloem. Leave that one alone. Alright? And I saw C, Xylem itself, and I saw D, Phloem. The answer is cortex. Yes, now what is that very great zone? You know, here is the zone between what now? You know, there is endodermis, I'm aware. Do you understand? But the zone between there's no endodermis in the option, alright? So the zone between the epi and the pericycle will not be what now? The cortex, based on how the question is. Class, does it make sense to us? What I just said, does it make sense to us based on how the question is coined? Does it make sense to us? Let me know. Alright, let me know, everybody. Let me know, everybody. Oh. Alright, I saw another question about that secondary thickening implant. Please, anything that has to do with secondary thickening implant is the cambium. Alright, I saw a question. They said, which one is involved in secondary thickening? Alright, which one is involved in secondary thickening? Listen, everybody, secondary thickening implant. Option A says Collenchyma and Xylem cells. That's not the answer. Option B says vascular cambium and Collenchyma cells. Option C says vascular cambium and cork cambium. And option D says cork cambium and Sclerenchyma. The answer will be the option that has cambium, and cambium. Do you understand? So the answer will see in this case vascular cambium and also cork cambium. Class, hope it's making sense, guys. Hope all these things are making sense. Alright, good one. Alright. I'm trying my best to just answer all the questions for you guys so that everything will just go smoothly. Alright, so that is for that. That is for that. I'm coming. Alright, so guys, in summary, we have to understand these things very well, like their diagrams. You know, for the other one, just have like, it's like this, it has the epidermis, It has the epidermis, but it has ground tissues where all the xylem and phloem are just scattered. Do you understand? They are just what scattered like this. Alright, forward design. For this one is for what? A monocotyledonous stem. Alright? So guys, with all this said, we've done a lot. So going over to, remember we said that we have I started at simple tissues where learning to talk about root and stem, right? So what are the complex? The question I asked, what are the complex tissues? That's the question you asked me. We have literally talked about the complex tissues by all our discussion. We have literally talked about what the complex tissues, everybody. We have literally talked about what the complex tissues. What are the complex tissues? Remember we said that permanent tissue could be simple or complex. So what are the complex permanent tissues? They are the xylem and the phloem tissues. Alright, they are the xylem and phloem tissues. Alright, this is the question. They said companion cells are found where? Is companion cells found in xylem or phloem? They are found in what? Phloem. They support the C2, which is the conducting cell in the phloem, conducting food. I taught us all this, so all these things are not hard. They are so cheap. Alright, they are so cheap. They are so what? Cheap. They are not hard at all. There are a lot of questions here, and we'll work on them. Now here it doesn't have it. Now in a dicot and monocotyledonous stem, which one lacks pitch? Which one is absent of pitch? This one has no pitch. It's literally not found or absent. It's not clear. It's not clear. Are you seeing all these xylem and phloem tissues that will fill the space you're supposed to be? This is the pitch. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is for that, everybody. That is for that. And also, dicot monocot, there is no cambium. There's no cambium here. Right here, there is what? Cambium. Alright? There's cambium. So, and cambium helps in what? As secondary growth. Remember, anything that has to do with secondary growth is cambium. Are you listening? So, since there's no cambium, this guy does not undergo secondary what? Growth. Alright? Since there's no cambium, that guy does not, the monocotyledonous plant does not undergo what? Secondary what? Growth. So, that is for that. You can see how we've been able to trash everything, right? There's no question I think they'll bring you on this thing you cannot answer as far as the term exam is concerned. Alright? It's just for you to know what you're doing and we have trashed it. Alright? Secondary growth has to do with is a growth that has to do with increase in the thickness of the stem and root. That's secondary growth. Alright? That's what secondary growth. The primary growth is literally that growth that has to do with length. Length. When the plant grows in length. But when it grows in thickness, it's secondary growth. Alright, and what helps in cambium? Cambium. Do you understand? So guys, so this one is what? A monocot. Monocot word stem. Alright, they are stems. Alright, so guys, with all this said, we are done for now, and God bless you all. We've done a lot of things, right? We've done a lot. So I wish you guys good luck in your exams, and God bless you all.